Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om. Offering my humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Mother Sai, who is as merciful as a thousand mothers. He blesses us each week with his chosen ones at this Institute of Higher Learning. And today you have yet another gifted soul who was blessed to study in Swami's Institute from 2000, graduating in 2013. He's a Prashanti Nilayam Bhajan singer and a wonderful harmonium player. And in his college days, he has been blessed to perform in devotional programs on various occasions at the Sai Kulwant Hall, Sai Ramesh Hall, and Trayee Brindavan. He's also sung in 2 volumes of the Bridge Across Time series, has served subsequently in Swami's mission as a district bhajan convener of Chennai South, also trains the young adults or the youth in bhajan singing, and is currently part of the Sundaram Bhajan Group. Not only singing is his interest, good at graphic designing, audio, video editing, and mimicry. And I'm curious to see what is going to come out of that today. and and is currently working in the healthcare domain. And all I know is I've seen videos of him sing during the pandemic. I know that he is also helping uh, bring forth many of Haryana's compositions. And this series, which started with Haryana and his batchmates, or the first bhajan group of Prashanti, our students. We are blessed to have that series continuing, evolving, and good to have Haryana back. And there's nothing like an introduction with Haryana saying a few words in his own unique Haryana way. Sai Ravana.
Ram, to all of you. Ashwin, introductions for lovely singer and those devotions of the bhajans more than just a very unique quality. And really, people learn bhajan, and the moment they achieve that, they are ready to shoot up. But he is a very special singer, very close to details regarding bhajan. And he, as far as his mimicry is concerned, he can mimic anybody. So if I go for program, I don't see his face before program, because if he starts moving, I can't sing. I'll be laughing throughout. So he's to that level talented, a wonderful singer, a great thinker. At the same time, so much of his soul is a great traveler in spirituality, and is very highly blessed child of Swami. And I always tell his mother, maybe mother and father, I say, basically, he is your son. But as far as I'm concerned, I have taken him as my son long back. Years back, I told them. So that level, my heart is close to. And let us enjoy the journey with him what he has experienced with Swami, which he will share with all of us. May we join ourselves in that matter. Yes, I am over question.
Thank you, uncle. Thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you, brother, for the introduction. हर पल हर क्षण भूल करे हम पग पग ठोकर खाए एक पग आगे दो पग पीछे साई तुम तक कैसे आए करुणा सागर परमा कृपालो साई. This alap is something which is very, very dear to me because I'm able to relate to my life, my own life, whenever I sing this alap. Har pal, har kshan, every second, every moment, bhool kare hum. We make mistakes. Pag pag thokar khaye. Do we learn from those mistakes? No. Ek pag aage, do pag piche. Each time I take a step towards you, Swami, I take 2 steps behind. Tum tak kaise aaye? And how did I manage to reach you? The alap doesn't end there. The answer to that question follows. It says, Karuna Sagar Parama Kripalo Sai. How did I manage to reach him despite all these flaws? The answer to that is Karuna Sagar Parama Kripalo Sai. It's only his compassion, his mercy, which has brought me to him and kept me to his lotus feet. My most loving and prayerful pranams at Swami's divine lotus feet. Esteemed elders, dear brothers and sisters, a very, very loving salam to all of you. At the outset, I feel very odd to be in this side and addressing all of you because I know for a fact that many of you would have been, part of Swami's fold since a very, very long time. Many of you might have had close interactions with Swami. Here we had Hariharan, uncle, who has lived with Swami. So what am I going to speak about Swami? So that's something which was there. So even before we get started, let me make it very clear that I'm not here to preach nor spread any message of Swami. Swami doesn't need any of that. And, I was just thinking when I was going to say this, there was one incident which came to me. We all know the Radio Sai, right? It's now the Sri Sathya Sai Media Center. Long back in 2002, I think August 2002, they envisioned Radio Sai, and I think it was inaugurated by Swami. The World Space the World Space Portal was inaugurated, I think, on Swami's birthday. I think it was around that time. So much before Radio Sai came to the public, when the people had this vision of bringing out Radio Sai, they went to Swami and they said, Swami, we have this plan, we'll have a stream where, so many of your bhajans will come, your discourse will come. And they brought out the entire plan to Swami. And immediately, it seems Swami asked, Enduku, why do you want that? So they said, Swami, we want to spread your message. So casually, Swami smiled and said, but that's already happening. Why do you want it? Here we are referring to that Swami who brought this entire world to his feet when there was no social media, there was no Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, nothing of that sort. Swami just brought I mean, the people over there said that Swami, we're going to spread your message. What about to the villages where network connectivity is not there? Swami had already penetrated those villages by that time. So Swami said, why do you want that? I'm already spreading my message. Why do I need Radio Sai for that? And it seems they tried on various occasions to ask Swami, convince Swami, and each time Swami used to ask, why do you need this? And the reason they gave to Swami wasn't convincing at all. Finally, when Swami asked the team, why do you want it? They said, Swami, the devotees will feel very happy if they hear your voice. The moment Swami heard that, Swami was satisfied. He said, if that is the case, go ahead. So I think that's a reminder to all of us that nobody here needs to spread Swami's message. I think the biggest boon all of us have got today is to listen to Swami. So I don't have any specific theme that I'm going to cover all these things. It's just going to be abstract experiences, whatever I've thought of in my mind. And maybe sometime whenever I speak, if there is something else which comes to my mind, I will just speak. See, the whole idea, the agenda of this entire satsang is to just remember Swami. So, and there might also be people, I suppose, who have not seen Swami, who perhaps came to Swami's fold after Swami's Mahasamadhi, or they might have come during the fag end when Swami was not physically available much. And it's very natural, right, to think that, wow, how lucky are these people who have got so much of chances with Swami. At least I have that feeling. Even today, till today, I'm not able to reconcile the fact. I joined my, BCom at Brindavan. So I had 1 year to experience the physical Swami, not much. A Pada Namaskar used to be a boon. It used to be a great thing. It is great, of course. But compared to the students who enjoyed Swami previously, right? Pada Namaskar was okay. We didn't have much of physical interaction. So I would immediately, start envying people who were like 5-6 years senior to me. And I would be like, wow, how lucky are they that they had, a beautiful experience to enjoy more closeness to Swami. So I went and asked a couple of people, how lucky you people are that you got to enjoy Swami physically. They were like, no, brother, nothing much. I think those two boys who pushed Swami's wheelchair. Imagine them, like sitting next to Swami. How lucky they will be. I was like, wow, fair enough. Then I had a chance to meet one brother who pushed Swami's wheelchair. So I went and asked him. I was like, brother, you're so lucky. And imagine that brother was just sitting next to Swami when during the last phase of Swami's physical journey. He was like, no, brother, we get to sit only during darshan. Imagine trustees and all, every day Swami will meet them in Yajur Mandir. How lucky they'll be. That's like, okay, wow. And then if you go and ask the trustees, they'll be like, we get to meet Swami only twice a day. Imagine, brothers who are doing residence duty, how lucky they'll be. You go and ask the residents, the boys who took care of Swami in his residence, they'll be like, oh, brother, every time morning, evening, every time Swami will go for darshan. He used to, be reading letters. He never got to enjoy Swami. So I think the point is Swami's physical proximity is like a mirage. You just think that if you were in their place, you would have got enough, but nothing is enough when it comes to Swami. So I think we need to set our perspectives right, that there was a time when, we are living in a phase when the avatar actually walked on earth. I mean, just to imagine that, like tomorrow, they are going to be awed by this phenomenon that, wow, such a phenomenon walked on earth. And we were a part, we were living during those times. So there'll come a time like that. So I think it's the message for all that, you should feel really grateful to be even knowing Swami at this point in time. How many people are there who have not realized that the avatar has actually walked on earth? And so many people close to Parthi, so they could have got like amazing chances, but still they didn't know. Only a fraction of people still know about Swami. So having said that, again, we start missing the physical form of Swami, right? I cannot see Swami. You go to Parthi and you see the empty chair there. Suddenly you start missing Swami. And a brother gave me a beautiful analogy. He connected this to uh, I don't know how many of you have read this book by Professor Kasturi, Loving God. So that's a very popular book. I think many of you might have even read that. So there he talks about an incident where Swami was talking with a few devotees where Kasturi was also a part. There were about 5, 6 devotees, and all of a sudden Swami was like, "Okay, come, let's take a photo." And everybody were excited. Now the next question was like, "Okay, who's going to take a photo?" It's not like a digital camera. It was that real type of camera. I think I've seen when I was very small, and after that, it was only digicam. So this camera was there. Now the question is like, who's going to click the photo? Uh, each person was like, "Why don't you go and click?" Because the person who's going to click is not going to come in the photo. And then when Swami noticed that, all these people are, fighting for who's going to click the photo, Swami was like, "Okay, all of you sit. I will go and click the photo." And these people are like, "Swami, what is the whole point if you go and click the photo? We want photo with you." And Swami is like, "Oh, no. All of you go. I will click the photo." And Swami, I mean, these 4, 5 devotees are puzzled. They're just there next to Swami's chair. Swami goes and he clicks a photo. And I'm sure many of you would be knowing when the photo came, lo and behold, Swami was actually seated there on the chair. Swami is actually giving a very puzzled look. That photo is still there. You can go and look at it in the Loving God book. Swami is like puzzled there. Maybe he's seeing himself. So I think that was a reminder to all of us that no chair is actually empty. And it's probably that we have not evolved enough to have the drishti of Swami. And possibly, yes. And to lighten up, that was the world's first selfie. And possibly Swami is the only person who could click a selfie from the back cam and not the front cam. Okay, having said that, so what was Swami's timeline, right? I was thinking like what to talk, and I was like, okay, Swami's mission is far, far from being over. And who is this Swami then? Like, and what was his timeline? Recently, you might have seen a video which came up, which spoke where Professor Anil Kumar Swami's translator spoke this incident. But I think it's really worth repeating this at this point in time. So it was sometime in the late 80s, I think, when the Kulwant Hall was being constructed. Swami was, overseeing the construction of Sai Kulwant Hall. And Professor Anil Kumar also happened to be with Swami. And Swami was there in the dais. And Swami was asking, how are things coming up? And that time they were erecting all the pillars, chandeliers and all. And, Anil Kumar sir in his complete energy and exuberance, he was like, "Swami, this is Bhuloka Vaikuntha," and all. He was like praising Swami completely. And Swami just gave a smile. Swami gave a smile. Oh, Akhil, sorry. Okay, so so he was he looked at Swami and he was like, "Swami, this is Bhuloka Vaikuntha," and he had all that energy and exuberance. And Swami smiled, and Swami said, "You know what? My body is going to rest here." Swami was standing at the dais where Swami's current samadhi is there, right? So Swami was saying that my body is going to rest here. And immediately after that, Anil Kumar sir was taken aback and he was like, "Swami, why do you talk all of these?" And hey, Swami, in his playful way, he just changed the topic. But all that I'm saying is, here is Swami 20 years before his physical departure, so casually saying that, here is where my body is going to be. So I think Swami is far, far beyond his physicality. And even, a Kulwant grand darshan hall coming up, that didn't excite Swami, nor did Swami's physical departure depress him. And again, when you talk about his timeline and his time span, a very beautiful incident comes to my mind. So one of my classmates got a chance to interact with a person called Dr. Sudarshanam. He was Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning's first research scholar. He was very brilliant in his domain. I think he specialized on physics. In physics, he's currently in the US, and he's very accomplished in his field. So Swami used to talk to this professor, converse with him and all. He used to go really deep in a subject. He used to give research ideas, and that used to really wow his his professors, because others didn't even know these concepts. So how it started was Swami initially used to ask him, how is this concept? What is this concept? Swami used to ask him, and in Professor Sudarshanam used to be like, okay, Swami is anyway, an 8th class dropout, he might not know. And he used to start from scratch. Okay, Swami, let me explain to you what this is. And he used to start from the alphabet. And Swami will boom him with like about 20 questions that will shake his foundation, in his subject. So that's the background of Dr. Sudarshanam. So my college mate happened to interact with him at Parthi once. So he was asking him. So recently, the Central Trust had invested 50 crores in the CRIF, that is the Central Research Instruments Facility. So the brother whom I knew, he was skeptical whether so much of investment, is it really worth it? Because this is a non-profit organization and you're investing so much, what's going to be the return on investment, right? So this was his question. So he put forth this question to Dr. Sudarshanam, whom I was talking about just some time back. So Sudarshanam told a very interesting incident. He said in the 1940s, Swami used to be walking with his devotees, in Puttaparthi. Suddenly he used to stop and he used to tell all these devotees, here, you're going to get an airport here. Those people have not even seen an airport. They all used to laugh. And Swami used to walk some more distance and he used to be like, do you know here? This is going to pet the hospital. A big hospital is going to come here. I'm going to create, construct a big hospital. All the devotees laughed. This was an incident which he heard long back. And many years later, when he was doing his research, Swami told Dr. Sudarshanam that, here you're going to have like big laboratories coming here. People from all over the world will come and do research here. He also laughed because that was a time when Sathya Sai College was actually finding it really difficult to establish a syllabus for MSc. So he was like, how is this even going to happen? And today he sees such huge facilities and laboratories unfolding. And interestingly, our current Vice Chancellor of Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Dr. Sanjeevi, happens to be from Karolinska Institute, a medical university in Sweden. He was there till he was there since 1989. And interestingly, that institute is known for selecting and awarding Nobel laureates. So he says that, nothing is impossible for Swami. So casually, many years back, he was saying that all this is going to happen. And just a fraction of that is unfolding right now. So Swami's timeline is something which is something very, very big, which you and I cannot imagine. And it's really an amazing opportunity for all of us to be a part of his mission. And so I can think of a couple of things. A few incidents come to my mind right now. Many years back, there was a gratitude program which was actually going. Students and all were performing in front of Swami, and one student was giving a very flamboyant speech. Everybody were like so moved and happy. Finally, the boys were, saying that Swami, we love you, Swami, we love you, Swami, we love you, Swami. Then Swami, very casually, he just took some hair, from his here. He just took some hair and he said, these many people told the same thing. Today they are no longer with me. And that shocked people. And then Swami said, my mission will go with you, without you, and in spite of you. Which means if you are there, my mission will continue. If you are not there, my mission will continue. Even if you go against me, my mission will still continue. So I think Swami's mission is in autopilot mode, and it's just up to us to be a part of it when he wills it. So now the gate is open, so it's really important. And one more incident, I think many of you might be knowing Raja Reddy sir, right? Like he was a very, very accomplished singer, and I think Hariharan uncle and so many people would be really. I mean, I still remember how much of reverence uncle had to Raja Reddy sir and all. A very dynamic personality. And I heard this incident where, many years back, bhajan session was going on, and Raja Reddy sir was sitting in front of Swami, and he was closing his eyes, and previous bhajan was going on, and the next bhajan he was supposed to sing. And when Raja Reddy sir was just closing his eyes, Swami signaled to the person next to Raja Reddy sir. So the microphone was placed next to Raja Reddy sir because he was going to sing the next bhajan. Swami signaled at the boy next to Raja Reddy sir and just said, "Remove the mic." And they were scared because Raja Reddy sir, he's a doyen of bhajans, and he was the only person who used to sing bhajans. One of the pioneers of the Prashanti group. And just Swami just said, "Take out the mic." And with a lot of hesitation, the brother took out the mic. And when the previous bhajan got over, Raja Reddy sir opened his eyes to sing, and he saw that the microphone was not in front of him. He looked at Swami. Swami was immersed. Then he knew that, okay, Swami possibly wanted him to stop singing, and he just closed his eyes. And he still continued to be at Parthi. But all that I'm saying is, we take Swami's proximity for granted. Of course, it is. But I think it's very important to revere the opportunity which we are getting here. And I think at this point in time, I would like to even apologize to Sathya Anna, who has been chasing me on like last couple of Sundays, and I wasn't able to, give time, and I feel really, really guilty for it. And I really feel that, this is something which is very common in students, like when we take things for granted. And I'm still trying to learn that. I feel that I'm still not giving enough for Swami, although I'm still a part of the Sundaram group doing so many things. I still feel that I'm not giving enough. And at this point in time, I'm remembering one more incident. So, our boys generally have a very, I wouldn't say bad habit. Whenever Swami comes, no, we used to get everything blessed by Swami. You get a new pen, go stretch it out to Swami, Swami will bless. Get a new photo, bless. Get a new diary, bless. Anything like whatever you buy, boys used to go and offer it to Swami and get it blessed. Our teacher always used to keep saying that, don't do that, because what happens when anything gets blessed by Swami, that gets consecrated, right? And that's something which has to be in the altar, and you need to worship it. You get a pocket photo blessed by Swami, I keep it in my pocket, and by mistake I forget and throw it to the dobi. What happens? Somewhere that reverence is going down, right? So I think that holds good for not only the physical objects. I think it holds good for the spectrum of opportunity that Swami actually gives us. Attending Balvikas, taking part in Sai activities, doing bhajans, and all of those things. So I think this is a reminder to me that to revere the chance which Swami has been giving me. And okay, Swami is giving us. So what is the qualification that we need? All of you might be definitely aware of Sai Gita, right? So Sai Gita was Swami's pet elephant. So she was a great devotee of Swami, and we are talking of a time when there was no internet, no YouTube, no phone, no mobile phones, nothing. But whenever Swami starts from his mandir towards the hostel, boys will definitely know. How? Because Sai Gita's residence, which happens to be just opposite to the boys' hostel, Sai Geeta will come out and stand. Sure enough, in some time, Swami's car will pass. What was her sixth sense? Nobody knows. But if Sai Geeta is standing out, one boy sees, it will spread like wildfire, and within few minutes, all the entire hostel will be outside. And sure enough, Swami's car will pass. So it seems one day Sai Geeta suddenly came out of her residence and she was waiting in the road. And one of the boys saw, and the entire hostel came. Sure enough, within a matter of few minutes, Swami's car came. So Swami's car passed the hostel and Sai Geeta's residence. It went a couple of meters and Swami's car made a turn back. And it stopped outside Sai Geeta's residence, and Swami got out and went towards Sai Geeta. The moment that happened, Sai Geeta was so ecstatic, there was literally a love affair unfolding. Swami goes next to Sai Geeta. Sai Geeta's hugging Swami and playing with Swami's hair. Swami is patting her trunk, and such a beautiful sight to, even imagine. Then what happened, in her excitement, Sai Geeta started to urinate. And when an elephant urinates, it's not some ordinary thing, right? So buckets of water just started splashing there. And within a matter of a few minutes, for a few seconds, Swami's robe was entirely drenched in Sai Geeta's urine. And what the boys did, the moment Sai Geeta started urinating, they took safe steps back behind so that the urine doesn't fall on them. And Swami immediately looked at the students, and he noticed the sense of disgust on their face. And then Swami casually said, if you all drink a bit of Sai Geeta's urine, you will also get a fraction of her devotion. I keep wondering if an animal can be worthy of Swami's love, what stops us from getting that love? And I think Professor Kasturi used to quote Swami. He used to keep telling that, the simplest qualification Swami has given, if you need me, you deserve me. That's it. So we just wanting Swami is the only qualification that he asks for. There can be no simpler thing, than this. And when when I say of when you need me, you deserve me, I'm reminded of my own experience, which I had in the Brindavan hostel. Till then, I had only heard about Swami's omnipresence, omniscience, and omnipotence. This was something which I experienced firsthand. And this is all the more special because this took place after Swami's Mahasamadhi. So for all those who feel that Swami has departed physically, this might be a reminder to show that Swami is still with us, and it's only our prayer which is required to actually bring him. So let me give you a context. So I think many of you might be knowing, in Brindavan or in Swami's hostel, you are not allowed to have electronic gadgets, no mobile phones, no walkie-talkie, no iPod, iPad, nothing of that sort. So what happened was, and we also used to withdraw money periodically. What I used to do is I had a joint account with my mother, and I used to have that card with me. So whenever I needed money, I used to go to one of the teachers. I used to give him, and we are not allowed to go outside the campus, right? So I cannot go outside and withdraw money. So I used to give that card to one of my professors. I used to tell him, sir, whenever you go out next, please withdraw money. And he used to withdraw money. So I used to write the pin and I used to give him. He used to go withdraw money and give it to me. So this was when I was in my final year, 2012, September 4th, if I'm not mistaken. So I needed money urgently for buying some books, and it was needed immediately. So I went to that teacher and I told, sir, I need money. I need 500 rupees immediately. Is it possible that you give me that money right now? I'll give you my card. whenever you get time, you just go outside, withdraw money, and you can keep it. He said okay, and he gave me that 500 rupees. I gave him my card. Then couple of days passed, and he was continuously calling me. He was like, Ashwin, come, come to my room, take your card. It's still lying with me. He said like, I was like, okay, sir, I'm coming. I'm coming. Couple of days passed, and I didn't go to get the card. And one fine day, he was like, Ashwin, if you are not coming, I'm not going to give you your card. I was like, okay, sir, I'm coming after study hours. So our study hours get over at 9:30 p.m. So after that, I go to his room, I collect my card, and I keep it in my track pant pocket. Then immediately from there, we have this Hanuman Chalisa and we chanted Hanuman Chalisa. Then I went to take milk. So they give milk at night. So I took my milk. I was chatting with my roommates, and I just slept. Next day morning, the dhobi came, and I gave my track pant to the dhobi without removing the card. I had kept it once my sir gave. I kept it in my track pant pocket. After that, I got busy with so many other things. I forgot to take it out. I threw it to the dhobi. That I didn't. This head wasn't, sharp enough to realize that in the morning itself. I realized that in the afternoon during our BCom class, banking class, there was a presentation on net banking which was going on. And that time I realized, oh my God, what happened to that card? I was thinking, then I was like, okay, track pant pocket, I kept it. Did I keep it outside? No, I didn't keep it. I was very, very tensed because that was a joint account with my mother. And at that point in time, my mother happened to be at Parthi. We had just purchased a new flat there, and my mother had gone there for registration. A lot of money there. And if I had given it to the dhobi, the pin was also along with the card, because I used to give it to my teacher with the pin to withdraw money. So everything is there. It was like, dhobi, please withdraw whatever you want. I gave it like that. And I was like super, super tensed. I didn't know what to do. And I was telling Swami, please help me out. And I was like, okay. Then one part of me wanted to, make things easy for me. It's like, you wouldn't have been careless, Ashwin. You would have kept it inside your cupboard. Please go check. It'll be there. And I go back to the hostel right after the college. I ran to the hostel. I go and I check. It's not there. Then I was thinking, what do I do right now? And my roommate was there along with me. Both of us were there in the room. I see the cupboard, it's not there. And again, trying to hunt for my track pant. I knew that it was there in the dhobi. I knew that I had messed it up completely. So the Swami's altar was just here by my side. I started praying to Swami. Swami, I was like, Swami, I shouldn't have been careless, so careless. But this is my mother's hard-earned money, Swami. I shouldn't have been so careless. I know you can punish me, Swami, but she has come to your place. She is there at Parthi, Swami. She is there to buy a house. And right now, if something goes wrong, Swami, your place. See how conveniently we try to convince Swami. But my prayer was very intense, and part of it was, aloud. Part of it was in the mind. I was just doing this, and one sound came. Before I could realize, my roommate was just looking at like this. Suddenly, down when I see, there is something which has fallen from the ceiling. And when I see what it is, it's my ATM card. It had just fallen from the ceiling out of nowhere. And it had fallen exactly the way how my teacher gave it to me a couple of the previous evening. I had actually given my pin like this. And on top of that, he had covered it with the receipt of withdrawing. That's how I had kept it in my track pant pocket. Exactly like that it fell. I was in the middle of the dormitory. There is no way it could have fallen from somewhere. My roommate was there. And both of us were just stunned to see what's happening. Then I just went and did one Sashtang Namaskar to Swami in his altar. And then I ran to one of the teachers. I didn't know. I mean, this was too fairy tale-ish for me to even tell my own brother. So I went to one of my teachers and I narrated this incident. And literally he hugged me. The point here is, this was again a lesson to say that, Swami's, nothing is actually impossible for Swami. Swami defies all science and everything. It's just how intense we call out to him. And if we are able to match Swami's frequency, nothing is actually impossible for him. And when we talk about this omnipresence, omnipotence, and omniscience, I think Swami's, his intent, Swami's omniscience, omnipresence, and all of these, I think, are just a means to show his love. And it's not even about demonstrating this. A beautiful incident comes to my mind, when I think of this. Many years back, a boy from America joined the Brindavan hostel. No, he joined, was it Brindavan or Parthi? It was Parthi hostel, I'm sorry. He joined the Parthi hostel from the US, from a very, very well-to-do, rich family. He had come there. And, initially Swami was very happy to see a foreigner and used to be quite plump, chubby, and Swami is giving him all the attention and he was like, wow, and he was enjoying thoroughly. And Swami, right, like suddenly he'll just cut you out. And after a couple of months, suddenly Swami didn't even look at him, and his honeymoon period got over, and that's when he started to feel the mosquito bites and the strain of lying down and all those things. All of a sudden, things became very, very uncomfortable for him. He wasn't able to adapt. Initially, when Swami's attention was there, it didn't seem like a big pain. So he wasn't very comfortable, and he started spreading negativity. There came a point when the teachers felt that this guy is so negative that he's influencing the other people, the other brothers also, in a very bad way. So one of the teachers went to him and he said, see, we understand that you have come from a totally different background, but this is how our hostel functions. We'll give you an idea. The sports meet is about to come. You do something very innovative for Swami. That's a chance where you can actually impress Swami. This boy felt, okay, not a bad idea. So this guy, I think, had learned some martial arts or something. So he was like, okay, let me do martial arts and I'll try to impress Swami. I was like, wow, fair enough. As long as you don't trouble us, don't spread negativity, it's totally fine. And this guy started going for the practice. Unfortunately, just within 3 or 4 days, he broke his leg. He broke his leg very badly and he wasn't able to move. Again, he became really frustrated because he knew that he might not be able to participate in the sports meet. Now, what to do? And he was now shifted from the second floor to the ground floor because he wasn't able to move enough. So there was, they used to get these crutches, right? So that was provided. And sports meet is a time when so many people would, have this problem. They'll fall off, they'll sprain their legs. So these crutches are always in the demand. And this brother, what happened was there was somebody else like who got injured there. Mild injury, of course, not as severe as this boy. He took the crutches for breakfast. He left it there and he went off to college. Everybody goes to college. This guy is not able to move. So he's really irritated. He's not able to move. Without the crutches, he cannot move, right? And then suddenly, it was late in the morning. He wanted to use the restroom and he wasn't able to get up. And he again became like very irritated. He was like, what is this? What hostel is this? What institute is this? I mean, I'm not even able to find my crutches. How will I even use the restroom? And this guy was there in the hostel, in the ground floor, inside his dormitory, and he was thinking all these things. And when all of these things was going on in his mind, there came a real point like where he started tearing up. He was like, what is this? If only my mother was here, would this have happened? He went to that kind of he reached that saturation. So this in parallel, what's happening is outside the hostel, there were two teachers who were conversing. All of a sudden, there is a car coming there near the gate. And they look and they see it's Swami. And Swami was like quite serious. He didn't smile at them. These people were startled because they were not ready to receive Swami. As in sports meet time, boys, whatever it is, however neat one may be, sports meet time, it's generally a little messy. The hostel is really messy. And these people didn't know what to do. Swami's car came. Swami just got out of the car. He gave a very nasty stare at these two teachers. And then he straight walks into this room where this boy stays. And the teacher narrates this. And the next scene, what they see is Swami coming out. Swami is actually holding this boy completely. So this boy is like around 6 feet 3 inches in height. And you know how tall Swami is. Swami would have been 5'2" or 5'3". Swami is completely, like supporting this guy. Swami is taking him out. Like instead of crutches, that guy is completely resting himself on Swami. And Swami goes along with him to the restroom. And Swami waits. Swami brings him back. And Swami, keeps him there in his hostel, make sure that he's comfortable. Then Swami comes out. And then Swami takes his car and he goes away. I think one of the biggest, this touched me so much, because even if Swami had, immediately come there, or he had sent a message across to the hostel to those two teachers saying that, hey, what are you guys doing outside? There is this guy who wants to go to the restroom. Can you please go and help him? I might have still narrated this incident today, but that wasn't what Swami stood for, right? Swami was completely full of love, and he wanted to help out this brother. And Swami's compassion, Swami's love overpowered his omnipresence, omnipotence, omniscience, whatever you call it. And Swami literally stood for that love all serve all. And this is something which is very, very dear to me. And and I can tell you what all Swami does, to make sure that we follow, or we at least try to follow. We get the message. This happened to one of my brothers at Brindavan. So I just finished my first year when Swami took his Mahasamadhi. So this happened during our first year summer holidays. So this brother of mine, he was traveling from Hyderabad to Chennai, and this was sometime when Swami was in the hospital. Okay, so maybe April 2011, he was traveling along with his aunt from Hyderabad to Chennai. So both of these people had got their, they were positioned in different coaches. So this guy was positioned in S1, and the aunt was positioned in S9. So the aunt was saying that we are positioned there and all. My brother, the brother told that, don't worry, I will, you go there. I will talk to somebody, get it exchanged, and I'll come there. And he happened to get a lower berth, and this aunt happened to get the upper berth. And she had some, knee problem, and she wanted to take the lower berth. So this brother told, no problem, you go there. After, just before sleeping, we'll swap places. So it was agreed. So when this brother goes to his coach, he sees an old lady there opposite to him. And that lady, somehow she was trying to catch his attention. He was just reading a book, and suddenly she, catches his attention, and she says, you know what, is it possible that you give me the lower berth here? I have an upper berth here, but I'm 85 years old, and I recently had a hip surgery also, so I'll not be able to climb up. Would it be possible for you to give me this berth? Then he said that I told my aunt that I'll be giving her this berth. No problem. Just stay here. I will go to my aunt's coach, and I'll make sure that she gets a replacement there. I'll do a replacement there. Then I'll come here and I'll give you my berth. No problem. So he goes to his aunt's coach and he explains the situation to his aunt, and he somehow finds a replacement there, and he's coming back. When he was coming back, halfway through, he sees this old lady. She's not even able to stand properly. She's going around asking people, can you help me, help me? And he goes and he says that, I told that I'll give you, right? Like, why do you want to go? And no, she was like, no, I don't like to depend on people. I would like to do things myself. No problem. I will figure out. And he was like, no. I arranged everything. You can come and take my, you can take my berth, and you can lie down there in the lower berth. So he helps her out. He holds her. He makes her, sit down there. And she's not able to even like lie down properly. So he lifts her leg, puts it there. And He makes sure that she's comfortable. Then he goes to sleep in the upper berth. Next day morning, they reach the destination. The lady is also very happy. She says that thank you so much, God bless you, and all. They go back. So this was in the first week of April, 23rd April 2011. He has a dream. He gets a dream where he's standing outside the super specialty hospital. So when he's standing outside the super specialty hospital, uh, all of a sudden his mother comes and she says, Arvind, Swami is calling you. Swami is calling you inside. All this in his dream. So he immediately runs, and there he sees Swami sitting, very, very weak, and he's just sitting there in his wheelchair, but giving his beautiful smile. Immediately he sees Swami, he breaks down. He says, Swami, please, Swami, how are you, Swami? When he first asks Swami, how are you? Swami says, I'm always happy, I'm always well. What is that? No, Swami, your physical health, when are you going to come back? Swami, so casually, he said, I'm not going to come back. Then he was like, Swami, what is this? Like, we want you and all. Swami was like, I'm always there with you and all those things. He was like, Swami, you don't give all this philosophy and all. I'm not ready to take it. Please, Swami, we want you. Then Swami said, will you do me a promise? Uh, so before the promise, Swami says, do you want to take namaskar? Swami says, he says, yes, Swami. Swami said, please take the namaskar. And no. So I'm really sorry, I missed it. So he says that, Swami, please, we are not ready for your departure. Swami says, I'm always with you. And he says, no, Swami, I'm not able to recognize you. I want to see you in your form. And Swami said, who said that you can't see me? I tried to grab your attention in the train. You never paid heed. Then I told I'm 85 years old. Still you didn't get the clue. Then I said I had a hip surgery. That time also you didn't get a clue. Then when you were coming back, I said that I would like to do things myself. I don't like to depend on anything. So many hints I gave. Still you didn't realize it's me. And this brother was like shaken. He said, do a promise to me. Will you? And Swami stretched his hand. And he promised. So all this is happening in his dream. So he promised Swami. Swami said, tomorrow, come to Patti. All the devatas will be there to pay respects to this avatar. There'll be a lot of positive energy. Come there and take all the positive energy. And the promise which you're going to make to me is that you're not going to cry. Because the moment you cry, you're saying that Swami's mission is over. Swami's mission has failed. It should be a matter of celebration that Sathya Sai has finished his avatarhood and he's going back. So you should celebrate. And this brother was like, what promise did I even make? And then finally he does like this, and so he says, Swami, can I take the last Pada Namaskar? He says, please take. And he goes down to take the Pada Namaskar, and then he realizes that Swami is wearing the same socks that old lady wore in the train. He was shocked to see the same socks which Swami was wearing. He sees Swami and he says, Swami, socks. Swami says, remove. So he removes those socks, he takes Namaskar. And the moment he takes his Namaskar, his sister wakes him up and he says, Arvind, Swami has taken his Mahasamadhi. And I still remember, I was also there at Parthi at that point in time. Many of us were actually crying there in Sai Kulwant Hall. He alone was, he didn't mingle with us at all. He was separate. And later we got to know that it was because of the promise that he had made to Swami that, this happened. So I think the message which I take from this is, we never know which form Swami actually takes to test us. Or rather, he's just driving home the point that Swami resides in every single individual, and serving people is equal to serving Swami. And if you ask me if I really practice it, maybe not fully. While I'm intellectually aware, I'm still trying to learn. I'm still trying to practice that. And I think these satsang are, a very good opportunity for me to remember all these, recollect all these, and, try to, force it into my head that, these are all important things which you need to practice. And so Another incident which is very, very dear to me when I talk about doing what Swami wants or practicing what Swami stood for. Swami was one day, Swami was there inside his residence, and there were like a few people, his close people who were doing Father Seva to him. Swami was reading letters. Generally, Swami used to ask, like, okay, what news, what's going on, and all those things. Swami will be reading letters, and then suddenly he'll be asking the boys who are doing Father Seva. That one day, Swami was like very, very withdrawn. He was just reading letters, then he used to put it in his bin, and then one more letter, put it in the bin. And all of a sudden, Swami used to take a complete pause. He used to just close his eyes or look at the wall for like minutes. Then again, he used to continue reading. So this was happening. And these boys were like, okay, what happened? Is Swami in a bad mood? Why is he not talking? Then finally, after like more than an hour of reading letters, Swami just sighed. Huh. Swami did that. And he said, how many letters? So many people are asking. Adi Kavali, Idi Kavali. So people want that, people want this. A person who's not married wants to be married. A person who's married, who does not have a child, wants a child. And people who have children want their children to be disciplined. And a person who doesn't want a job wants a job. A person who has a job wants peace of mind. So Swami is saying they want this, they want that, they want this, they want that. So many people are saying they want this, they want that. Not one letter said thank you. And Swami was choked at that point in time. Swami said, not one letter said thank you. And I think it's not Swami merely wanting a thank you, but I think Swami was very, disappointed with the fact that none of us had that gratitude for what we have. That's one of the qualities that Swami always wanted. Just think that whatever you get is Swami's prasadam. And Swami is very upset with the fact that nobody had that gratitude. Swami, thanks for all that you have given me. Everybody is like so busy, wanting this, wanting that, wanting this, wanting that. And Swami put all these letters and he walked. He walked a few steps. He turned back and he said, I have come from the highest Shiva Shakti principle. I have come here to earth. I've brought my plane. My plane has come from up to down, and my plane is now open. All of you, instead of getting into this plane, you're all busy doing some politics, some organization activity, fights here and there, bhajans, puja, aarti, all these things you're doing, but none of you are actually getting into the plane. And then Swami said, when I leave, I don't even know if I'll have 5 people with me. And this is not something to, this is not something to do with guilt or something, but I think it's very important that each of us, reflect upon the statement to say, like, what are we missing here? And I think when Swami said, all of you are busy doing bhajans, all of you are busy doing organization activity, none of you are getting into my plane. That really made me wonder, okay, what is it that actually Swami wants? When I was actually searching for this answer, I read a very beautiful incident which exactly answered this. So it seems, Swami was interacting with a couple of students. It was during summer holidays time. These students had actually stayed back. And Swami was telling that, all of you go home, your parents are there. No, Swami, we are going to stay back here. We want to spend some time with you. Swami was like, no. They're doing whitewash and all. They're doing whitewash and all to the hostel. I cannot have you here. You go spend time with your parents. Then Swami, what he did, he got up and he gave 200 rupees to each student. He said, this will cover your ticket expenses. Please go and come back. Now they got the money also, so they can't stay back. So somehow reluctantly they agreed, okay, Swami. Then immediately Swami asked them, okay, what all will you do when you go there? You're going to summer holidays. What all will you do? And all these boys, to impress Swami, they started saying, Swami, I'll go, I'll do every week, I'll do Nagar Sankirtan there. Swami, I will give talk in the Samiti. I will talk your glory. I will talk about you. And one guy saying, Swami, every day I'll do bhajan, Swami, irrespective of people come or not. And everything, Swami was just keeping his hands like this, and Swami was just saying, And beyond a point, the boys ran out of content. And Swami, he was just sitting like this and he was just nodding his head. Then they knew that it's better to shut up because something far greater is going to come out. And then once the boys were done, Swami opened his eyes and he narrated an incident. Not an incident, an anecdote. He said, there are two villages near Puttaparthi. It's okay for the benefit of people. Let me tell that it's full tongue twister. So one of the villages is called Buchegarapalli. The other one is Bukkapatnam. So Swami says, a group of people had gone from Bukkapatnam to Buchegarapalli to see a Burrakatha. So Burrakatha, I'm not sure if you might be knowing. So that's a local traditional form of entertainment, which they used to have it, in Andhra. Because like many years back when there were no televisions, there were no YouTube and all of those things, this group of people will go, they'll have a thematic presentation, they'll have some kind of a play, they'll used to sing and all those things. And our own boys have actually done Burrakatha thematic presentations in front of Swami. So Swami tells this story. So Swami says that, a group of people had gone from Buchegarapalli, they had gone to Buchegarapalli from Bukkapatnam to see a Burrakatha on Ramayana. So they all saw the play and they were coming back. It was already dark and they lost their way. They realized that, they were not able to find where to go. And all of them are confused now what to do. And suddenly when they're confused, there was one a group of street dogs barking there. And one of the guys said that, hey, I think this place I remember, because when we are coming also these dogs are barking. Let's go to that place. And they go there and they find that, nothing much had actually happened. I mean, they were not able to figure out much. So they again take some detours and suddenly they find a small, a street light quite far away. They're like, okay, come, let's go. There is one street light there. Let's walk there. Maybe we'll find something. So they walk towards that street light, walk. And when they go near that street light, they are able to see, two roads going like this. And immediately they go there and then they realize that, they found their way. They knew that they had to take this road to reach Bukkapatnam. And then they go. Swami finishes the story and he says, what did the street light do? That was the question Swami asked. Then the boys said, Swami, the street lights, it did nothing. What did it do? It just burnt. And Swami said, similarly, when whatever you learn here, it's not necessary that you need to do bhajans. You need to, externally show, motivate people and stuff. He said, like, once you receive Swami's teachings and they become a part of you, whatever you do will actually reflect Swami. He said, when you imbibe Swami's teaching completely, when the situation demands patience, you exhibit patience. When the situation demands compassion, you exhibit compassion. When the situation demands even assertiveness, and you do that, you are just doing everything according to your own. I mean, like it's like you're doing something not because you want to show something, but that becomes a part of your DNA, right? And that's your nature. And the moment you do that, you become like that street lamp. Street lamp doesn't do anything specially. It's just reflecting its own nature. Its nature is to burn. And Swami said, I want all of you to be street lamps and not street dogs. I don't want you to go bark, call people, say that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Swami never wanted that. And Swami said, I want all of you to be street lamps. I think that was something which gave me an answer to, Swami saying that my plane is here and outside you are all doing these activities. Somehow I was able to connect the dots. Again, everything intellectually. And I really hope that, all of us go more closer to Swami, are able to, I think these satsang are, a great opportunity for us to remind ourselves of what, Swami, what Swami expects out of all of us. And today being a Sunday evening, I could have gone somewhere out. All of you would have had different plans. You could have gone out, but the very fact that we are all here, shows that Swami has actually willed it, and we are all here because Swami wanted. So I really pray to Swami that please give me that maturity, please give me that state of mind to connect with you always, to remember your presence always, to remember your form always, to remember your words always. Sai Naam hi madhuram, Sai Rupa hi madhuram, Madhuram Sai madhuram, Sai Sarvam madhuram, Sai Drishyam madhuram he, Sai Vani madhuram, Sai Paduka madhuram, Madhuram Sai madhuram, Sai Naam hi madhuram, Sai Rupa hi madhuram, Madhuram Sai madhuram, Sai Sarvam madhuram, Shirdi Nivasam madhuram he, Prashanti Nilayam madhuram, Sai Leela madhuram, Sai Sarvam madhuram, Sai Naam hi madhuram, Sai Rupa hi madhuram, Madhuram Sai madhuram, Sai Sarvam madhuram, Sai Sarvam madhuram, Sai Sarvam madhuram. I offer my words at Swami's Lotus Feet. Thank you, Jai Sai Ram.
Ashwin, everything is Madhuram about Swami. So why don't we listen to a few more bhajans of Swami in your melodious voice and then experience it?
Sure. Sharanam Mata Maheshwari Ma, Sharanam Mata Maheshwari, Manamohi Ma, Madashali Ma, Manamohini Ma, Madashalini Ma, Jagadodharini, Maya Vinashini, Jagadodharini, Maya Vinashini, Manasa Ulasini Ma, Manasa Ulasini Ma, Jayama, Jayama, Jayama Saima, Jayama, Jayama, Jayama Saima, Sharanam Sharanam Saima, Devi Sharanam Sharanam Sai Ma Devi Sharanam Mata Maheshwari This is again Hariharan Uncle's composition, one of my personal favorites. Uncle, I think I was blessed to learn this from Uncle himself. So he taught me this, I think, more than 2, 3 times, and I really hope I've done justice to Uncle's composition, if not completely, at least little bit at least. Thank you, Uncle.
Couple of more, please. We still have a lot of time.
Couple of more. Okay. Srivatsankita Shrikostubhadhara Srivatsankita Shrikostubhadhara Madhava Mohana Krishna Madhava Mohana Krishna Shri Tulasi Dala Vanamaladhara Shri Tulasi Dala Vanamala Mohana Krishna Madhava Mohana Krishna Kali Yuga Varada Kali Avatara Kali Yuga Varada Kali Avatara Karuna Sagar Sai Karuna Sagar Sai Karuna Sagar Sai Srivatsankita Shri Kostubhadhara. So while I go for the third bhajan, I'm not sure if you would have heard this. I learned this from one of my senior brothers. So he told this to me. So we were talking about how to give life to a bhajan, because more than singing, I think every bhajan is an opportunity for us to literally communicate with Swami. And so when we were talking about this, he had a very unique way of connecting with Swami for during bhajans. What he used to do is he used to create a story for every bhajan, a literal story with Swami, and each time he sings that, he used to play that story in his mind so that he connects with Swami. And he gave me this example. So this is for the okay, let me come to the bhajan a little later. So the story goes like this. Everybody goes whenever they used to when you studied in Swami's Institute, I think every student would have gone through this phase called the cold storage phase, where Swami starts ignoring you for I wouldn't say for no reason, but maybe a reason not known to you, or to maybe transform you a little more to connect to the inner Sai, right? So that's called the cold storage period. And I know brothers who have told that it's not even like Swami will not look at you. Swami will look through you. So you'll be here and Swami will just look through you and he'll walk off. And that's a very painful phase. Definitely, I can relate to that, because you leave everything. You leave your family, you leave your friends, and everything, that life you leave, and you come for Swami. And here is Swami ignoring you, right? And while it's for the greater good, it's very difficult to see Swami ignoring you completely. So this brother was saying that my story revolves around this. He says that I'm imagining myself to be in that cold storage. Swami is not talking to me. And I go for darshan. Swami just goes away. I sit in this place. Swami completely ignores and goes that side. And that boy is like very, very depressed. And he says that today I'm going to talk it out with Swami. Somehow I'm going to win Swami's grace and I'm going to make Swami talk to me. So this is the storyline. Okay. So he goes to darshan and he sits, somehow he gets the first row. So when Swami is coming, Swami is coming close to him and he starts, Nandalala. Swami walks past. Nandalala. And Swami looks at him. Daya karo Bhagwan. Then from there Swami asks, what do you want? Bhavasagar se par utaro. Swami is standing at a distance, right? Swami is not able to hear. Swami does. Daya karo Bhagwan. Mujhe kripa karo Bhagwan. And the all merciful Swami comes close to him and says, take namaskar. Tumhari sharana bina nath hai hum. And Swami is so happy. Swami blesses and Swami leaves. Daya karo Bhagwan. Kripa karo Bhagwan. Sai kripa karo Bhagwan. So this is how he connects with Swami in every single bhajan. He has a storyline for almost every bhajan. All of you might be knowing this bhajan, right? Sai Baba Sakal Bhuvan ke Data. So this particular bhajan, he says, the story goes like, there's a small girl who comes from her school. She comes home and apparently her teacher or somebody has told about Swami. So she's very excited. Oh, do you know? She comes home and she says, Amma, do you know? Sai Baba Sakala Bhuvan ke Data. Amma, do you know that this one person called Sai Baba, he's the master of all worlds? And the mother knows. And she says, yes, I know. Sai Baba Sakala Bhuvan ke Data. So she says that, yeah, I know that, Sai Baba is the master of all worlds. And then, do you know how he looks? Rupa Manohara Kamalakanta Yuga Avatar Sai Baba Daya Karo Pratimama. He asks, where does Swami live? Where does he live? Shirdi Parti Hridaya Nivasi. Shirdi Parti Hridaya Nivasi. Prashanti Sundar Sai. Prashanti Sundar Sai. Sai Baba Sakala Bhuvan ke Data. So this was one of the stories he told for this particular bhajan. So I thought while singing like one or two bhajans, I thought if I was able to tell this kind of an approach to connect to Swami during bhajans, maybe like one or two, if you're able to benefit through this more than, I think the purpose for telling this is satisfied. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram.
Really beautiful, Ashwin. So why don't you share with us briefly, after leaving Swami's college, you have continued to be part of his mission. you said that Swami wanted all of us to be part of the mission, but you have been continuing to do that, inspiring young adults and so many more. So would you like to share some experiences out of that we could learn?
Uh, any particular aspect you want me to cover, or what exactly you want me to touch upon?
Whatever it could be. Living that life that Swami had wanted to, that you mentioned about his mission.
Frankly, brother, I'm also trying to do that. While okay, the organization activity and taking part is it's definitely there, but I think what Swami wanted was something totally internal, and I'm still in the process of doing that. But yes, so as I can probably share a very beautiful incident that happened. I had been to Neyveli, so this was immediately after my BCom. So I had joined my articleship to do my CA. So during my articleship, we happened to be at Neyveli Lignite Corporation (NLC) for an audit. So we happened to be there for like close to 6 months, and 15 of us had actually gone from our office to be at NLC and carry out the work. So I happened to have a roommate, my colleague. He is from I would say a lower middle class background, a very sweet person, but he had studied in a Tamil medium school, and a very childlike person, but a proper outside youth. Every day morning, whatever rain or shine, he used to switch on TV, and all these Tamil songs used to be in blast, full blast. He used to be dancing till he gets ready, and then we all used to go for breakfast and all those things. So what happened was, in the process of that 6 months, right, I found out a Sai Samiti there. So I knew that I wanted to go to Sai Samiti there. 6 months is a long period. I wanted to stay in touch with Swami, so I found out the Sai Samiti there, and I went there. And I tell you, lovely people. I'm still in touch with them today, and they took care of me so well. And every Thursday, I used to go there for bhajans. And he happened to be very curious. He happened to be very curious, and he said that one day even I would like to come for bhajans. I was like, wow, you're more than welcome. And he came for bhajans, and so after bhajans, like, we all go to Swami's chair and we do that namaskar, right? So he also happened to do that namaskar. And just before leaving, he had tears in his eyes. He calls me and he was like, Ashwin, you know what? Baba is really great. Baba Swami is really great. By then he started calling him Swami. He was like, Swami is really great. I was like, what happened? So he said, you know what? Last couple of days, I was trying for Kabali ticket. So apparently Rajini's, Linga was Rajinikanth's movie which had released at that point in time. He being a he was a very big fan of Rajinikanth, and he wanted to watch the movie. He was not getting tickets. Apparently, he had come to that Samiti, and he said, Swami, I want to get tickets for Linga movie. And apparently, after he took that namaskar, within a minute, his friend calls him up and says that for this weekend, we have booked the tickets. And he was like, he had tears in his eyes. I was like, my God, how Swami connects to different people. He touches different people. He knows how to win the heart, right? And it didn't stop there. And I think the next couple of months, the guy stopped playing those movie songs in the morning. And he used to be like, Ashwin, why don't you play bhajans? Because I used to keep humming bhajans, and he started asking me to play bhajans. And the crux was, in the end, just a few days before we left Neyveli, this guy was getting ready and he was combing his hair. And suddenly I was seeing that he was humming some song. I go near him and he's like, Purandar Vittale Hari Narayana. So that was like an amazing transformation which I saw in a person. And Swami, I mean, that was an incident which showed that, like how Swami touches people. And there is nothing like, a great desire, a petty desire. I think Swami says, right, like, I have come to give you, I keep giving you all that you want till one day you ask me what I have actually come to give. So I think other than liberation, if we are going to ask anything to Swami, I think everything is equally petty for him. So I think even a Rajnikant's movie ticket wasn't petty as long as he knew that, he's going to win that boy's heart. I think Swami was more than happy to do that as well. And that boy is still in touch with me, and he respects Swami so much, and periodically he goes to Swami's temple also. So since you said that after I passed out, I thought that I would narrate this incident to tell you like how touched I felt when I saw Swami touching his heart.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Sorry, I was out because only the battery charge went up. So I got disconnected. Now I'm back.
Uncle, I'm done, Uncle. Thanks.
No, I went only at the end. After Sai Baba, Sakala Purnika Data. After that, the charge was 0. So
okay,
I thought again I'll try. I put it in the charge, and then it was wonderful, Ashwin. So happy that though you are age-wise small, but you are more practical.
Uncle,
and,
please.
It really goes to the timeline for now. The oldies can't talk like that. We talk about
Uncle, please.
that. We can't.
Uncle, just hoping to move from the talking stage to practicing stage. That I really hope that comes sometime soon. And people like you inspire. That's it.
It's Sathya Venkat.
Shankaram sir.
Yes. Hello.
You froze for a moment. Can you repeat again?
No. I am telling that his wife Priya also excellent singer. She also sings beautiful, and they are lovely couple. I really love both of them. That's what I wanted to tell. So happy. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Uncle. Thank you so much.
Is there any questions from the group? Anybody would like to ask anything or share anything?
Just a request, Brother Sathya, Brother Ashwin, mesmerizing and filled with Baba actually. Just a request, I saw in Bridge Across Times, Allah Tero Naam, signature song of Yana is also there, so we can request you for Sarah.
Okay, sure. Allah Tero Naam Sai Mola Tero Naam Allah Tero Naam Sai Mola Tero Naam Ram Rahim Sai Krishna Kareem Sai Ram Rahim Sai Krishna Kareem Sai Pati Vihara Sai Bhakta Jano ke Sai Pati Vihara Sai Bhakta Jano ke Sai Deena Dayalu Sai Parama Kripalu Sai Deena Dayalu Sai Parama Kripalu Sai Allah Tero Naam Sai Mola Tero Naam.
Thanks so much, Brother. Sarah.
Thank you so much. to the
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Saram.
Sai Paramakripalu Sai for bringing you to all of us here. Yet another gem in these hundreds of weeks of satsang that we have been experiencing, the divine bliss. And it has been our prayers that this will continue for many, many, many more weeks to come, where he will bring us more and more of his children to come and share their glorious experiences. Very, very beautiful, Ashwin, the way you had shared about Swami's mission, which is beyond timelines, but he has included us somewhere in that mission, for our own transformation. And like you, all of us are learning every week some lesson which we try to imbibe and put it into practice, so that we become worthy to be a passenger in that plane that Swami is eagerly waiting to onboard all of us, right? So we wish that you would continue to be part of this family that gathers here week after week. Okay, whenever you feel like, please come forward and share these beautiful experiences and inspire us with those mellifluous songs, that we sing with so much of bhava. Thank you, Swami, once again. And then we still don't know, as always, who our speaker for next week is. But we know that he already knows, and from somewhere he will bring us to him. So till then, let us pray to Swami to bless the whole world, to get back peace and happiness all the world. We close with Sri Samasta Loka. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thanks to one and all for being with us. Look forward to having you all every week. Please spread word to anybody else who is willing to participate. This is open for all the family Satsangh. Thanks once again, Brother Ashwin. Om Shri Sai.
Sairam, brother. Sairam.
Now